What is up, guys? John the Retro Bro back again with another video, and we're back. We're back here at the same spot we were, well, not me, 7 years later, where GameStop is trying to sell retro video games. They've done this before, and it didn't work out well for them. Let's talk about what I think's going to happen, what did happen, a little bit of a review, but maybe they learned their lesson this time and they're going to change things up. Let's talk about it, guys. All right, guys, so 7 years ago, GameStop came out with a plan that they were going to sell retro video games. Nobody else was really doing this. You had online anyways. You had your small mom and pop shops, but this was a big topic in the retro gaming community back in 2016, 2017, when I first started YouTube. This was a topic that I covered early on in my channel. And it's weird that we're back here talking about this again. Shout out to XS Gaming Podcast, Anders Scohen. He's actually the one who, he made a video today that I saw. I hadn't really given this, I actually didn't even know about this. I haven't been following gaming news too much, but I feel like this is definitely worthy to make a video on, considering I discussed this early on in my channel. Now, the big issue back then was GameStop didn't have the capabilities to essentially filter out stuff like reproductions. And I wanted to test this theory back 7 years ago, wearing the same t-shirt. Yes, the nice thing about getting older is you don't really grow unless you get fat. Thankfully, I don't have that problem, and wanted to test this theory out. So I took a $5 AliExpress reproduction cartridge to GameStop to see if they would identify this as a reproduction. Don't worry, I had a backstory. I didn't know about video games. It was from a friend. It's a big elaborate video to see if GameStop would take this repro.
Alright, so I finally found one that I can show to you.
Which one's that?
Musha?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, these are. Yeah, no, unfortunately these ones aren't on here.
Okay.
So I can't take those. But these other two I can.
So the Sonic and Musha?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I show you ID real quick for your trade as well?
Can you just tell me what the total would be? Because I'm going to try a few spots actually, if you don't mind.
For just these two, I can give you 32 in cash.
Okay.
The Musha is the one that actually grants you the most, and that's $28.
Okay.
And I had some like mixed, like real games in there. I wasn't going to trade them and didn't do the deal because I'm not a shady person, regardless of what some people want to believe. And my suspicions came to be true. They would have taken the Musha reproduction. This video got big traction back then. I actually got banned from the GameStop I was at because they said I wasn't allowed to record them. Whatever. It was worth it. CU Podcast made a video about it, highlighting what had happened.
All right. Why is that a problem? It's a problem because they're not training the employees to watch out for, one, if these games even work, but two, if they are the games that the people claim they are, if they're counterfeit or what have you. So what John did was he brought some Genesis games, about 5 or 6, to a GameStop. He wanted to see what would happen if he brought a Musha, one of the most coveted Genesis games. The first problem is, obviously, it's a counterfeit game. Now, they are not training the employees at, the whatever 300, 500 GameStop locations across the US to look for counterfeits. Now, John was cool. He didn't trade it in because he's an honest guy. Seems like a nice guy. Check him out, Gaming Through the Decades channel. He just wanted to see if they were going to take it, and they were going to take it. And he said, it's okay, I'll think about it.
But this was a big issue, and shortly after that, GameStop stopped selling retro video games because they simply didn't have the means to and protocols put in place to identify these fake games that were coming in. And fast forward 7 years later, we're back again. I'm sure GameStop has seen the big success like Lukey Games and DK Oldies has been having. I mean, they're making money hand over foot over there with the retro stuff. And say what you want about them, they don't sell reproduction games. They have a system in place that is going to identify fake games. So if you order something from Lukey Games or DK Oldies, generally rest assured, you're going to get a real game. GameStop has hundreds of stores throughout the country, so I mean, you could see why this became a big problem. But like I said, they want to make money. I don't blame them. So this is the GameStop website now, and I mean, they even have a retro game store locator, which we'll talk about in a minute because that's something that's very new and I'm very curious about. So there might be a follow-up to this video, is all I'm saying, but we'll talk about that in a minute here. So if you go on their website, I mean, it's like any other retro gaming online website. I mean, they have PlayStation 3, Xbox. You can pick which console, Sega Saturn, Sega Genesis, disc only, in case, case only. I mean, and it's priced as you would see on like eBay. I mean, no surprise there, right? So that's the price. I mean, it's basically your market, your eBay pricing, disc-based stuff. You know, pretty sure you're going to get a real one. It's pretty easy to identify a fake disc for the most part. There are some pretty good reproductions out there. But yeah, so that's their site. So now anybody can go on GameStop.com and risk buying a reproduction game if you really choose to get one of these. I mean, when it comes to Game Boy Advance and Sega Genesis, I mean, there's some cartridge-based stuff. There's really good reproductions out there because there's a big market for it. There's a lot of people in collecting that have decided they don't want to spend over a certain amount of money for one particular game, so they get a reproduction. And I made a video on that a long time ago. I fully support that. I believe there is a market for repros, but at the same time, I feel it's one of those things that if it is a reproduction, it certainly needs to be identified as such. There needs to be some kind of indicator on that to know, so the buyer knows they're getting a repro. But this is something new, and this is something I'm really curious about. It is the Let's Go Retro. Visit a GameStop retro location to shop fan favorite games for history's greatest consoles. Okay. So you can pretty much just type in your area code here and then search. That's not my area code. I don't know why, but it brings up the ones next to me, and you can find one in your area. Now, I don't know if these have been fully converted to retro stores, or they're just adding retro into their existing product line at those stores. They'd be very curious, but I do want to do a follow-up because I want to go into one of these places. I'm not going to try and trade in a reproduction. Someone else can do that this time. I did it 7 years ago. I'll pass the baton to whoever else wants to try that. But I'd be curious. So if anybody out there wants to do that, I'll pass the baton to you, and I want to see if they'll take it. So maybe because these stores are becoming a retro location, maybe on those stores specifically, those are the only ones you can take games to. And now this is hypothetical. Now I'm guessing here. This is what makes sense. But again, this is GameStop we're talking about. So maybe this is like these employees at this retro game, GameStop, actually are trained to identify, you know, the fake stuff. But like I said, guys, I'll be real curious to see how long this lasts. I'm sure they've learned from their lesson. I can't imagine they wouldn't do this without looking back and see why it failed the first time and then correcting it and then redoing it the second time.
So it'll be interesting to see how this goes on in a few months from now. Looks like GameStop's pretty much just taking anything at this point. So unfortunately, I can see this being a thing now. There's going to be people out there that don't care, and they're going to buy these. You can buy this one right here from China from online for about $3.99. With shipping, it comes to less than $5. So a quick, easy scumbag way to make cash, and unfortunately, I think this is going to be a pretty big trend when it comes to this new GameStop and the whole entering the retro market, guys. I just don't think it's going to work out well.
I'm going to be real curious. I'm going to check out a retro location. Let me know if you guys have checked out any of these retro locations yet. I'm going to check one out, and let me know what you think overall. Will you be buying retro stuff from GameStop? I don't really collect retro stuff anymore anyway, so I certainly won't be, but I am going to check one of these out. All right, guys, that's it for this episode. Let me know your comments, suggestions, experiences, your thoughts in the comments section. I'd love to hear from you. As always, GameStop, do you even retro, bro? See you guys on the next video.